What if I told you that the path to true freedom requires you to lose everything you've been clinging to? A paradox that mystics, philosophers, and the wisest among us have understood for centuries. Have you ever noticed how exhausting it is to maintain the facade, the carefully curated version of yourself that wins approval but drains your soul? We're about to explore why radical honesty will cost you everything you thought you needed, and why that might be the most liberating journey you'll ever undertake. By the end, you'll see why this apparent loss is actually your greatest gain. Honesty, not just the socially acceptable kind where you admit to minor flaws, but bone-deep, radical truthfulness with yourself and others. The kind that forces you to face what you've been running from. Think of honesty as a flame that both illuminates and burns away. It reveals what was hidden in darkness, but also consumes what cannot withstand its heat. When we speak of honesty costing everything, we're talking about a profound inner revolution. The ego, that carefully constructed identity, trembles at the prospect of full disclosure. Consider the moment when you finally admit a truth you've been denying. That relationship that's been dead for years. The career that suffocates your spirit. The belief system inherited but never questioned. The truth will set you free, but first it will make you miserable, wrote historian and philosopher James A. Garfield. This discomfort precedes liberation, always. What exactly do we lose when we commit to radical honesty? We lose the comfortable illusions we've built our identity upon, the stories we tell ourselves that justify our limitations. We lose the false security of people-pleasing, the protective armor of perfectionism, the numbing comfort of victimhood narratives that keep us safe but small. Psychologist Carl Jung observed that people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. Why such resistance? Because honesty demands we face our shadow. The shadow, all those denied aspects of ourselves, doesn't disappear when ignored. It grows stronger, sabotaging our relationships, health, and happiness from the unconscious realm. Imagine your life as a house with many rooms. Honesty requires opening doors you've kept locked for years. Behind them, rejected emotions, uncomfortable truths, and disowned parts of yourself. These locked rooms consume enormous energy, like holding multiple beach balls underwater simultaneously, exhausting yet ultimately futile. When was the last time you allowed yourself complete honesty about what you truly desire? About who you are beyond roles and expectations? Pause now and consider this. The poet David Whyte writes that honesty is not found in revealing the truth, but in understanding how deeply afraid of it we are. This fear keeps us trapped in comfortable falseness. The greatest cost of dishonesty isn't external, but internal. The relationship with yourself fractures. You become a stranger to your own heart. In relationships, we often trade authenticity for approval. We nod in agreement when we disagree. We swallow words that need speaking. We perform the role that secures attachment. This subtle dishonesty creates what psychologists call a false self, a performance that wins approval but leaves us feeling unknown, unloved for who we truly are. Think of a relationship where you've never fully shown yourself, where you've edited and curated your words, feelings, and needs. How close do you really feel to that person? The depth of connection possible with another is directly proportional to your willingness to be honest. No truth shared, no bridge built. Consider John, who spent decades playing the strong, silent provider in his marriage. He buried emotions, denied needs, suppressed dreams, until his body collapsed into illness. His healing began when he finally spoke truth. "I'm afraid. I'm lonely. I need help." In that vulnerable honesty, he lost his false strength but found authentic power. Or Sarah, whose desire to be nice kept her nodding yes when her soul screamed no. Her breakdown came when she realized she'd built a life pleasing everyone except herself. Her recovery began with simple, trembling truths. "This isn't working for me. This isn't what I want." She lost relationships, but reclaimed her life. The philosopher Soren Kierkegaard recognized this when he wrote that the most common form of despair is not being who you truly are. This despair hides beneath busyness and numbing behaviors. What if honesty isn't just about moral virtue, but about psycho-spiritual survival? What if your wholeness depends on it? Pause for a moment. Breathe deeply. Is there a truth you're currently avoiding? How does this avoidance manifest in your body? What tension, discomfort, or heaviness do you notice? Now let's explore why radical honesty, despite its costs, becomes the gateway to everything authentic and alive. The initial pain of honesty creates what alchemists called the nigredo, a necessary blackening or decomposition before rebirth. Old structures must dissolve before new ones can form. When you drop pretense, you discover how much energy was devoted to maintaining it. Energy now available for creation, connection, and genuine presence. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with rocks for years. The moment of honesty is removing that backpack. The initial sensation is disorienting, but then comes lightness. Buddhist teacher Pema Chodron describes this as the wisdom of no escape. When we stop running from truth, we find unexpected freedom in facing what is. In relationships, honesty functions as a filter, revealing which connections were based on authenticity and which on mutual performance. Some ties strengthen while others dissolve. Maria discovered this when she finally revealed her struggle with anxiety to friends. Some disappeared, uncomfortable with her vulnerability. Others stepped closer, sharing their own hidden battles. She lost the illusion of universal approval, but gained the reality of genuine connection. A painful but necessary trait. Psychologist Brené Brown's research confirms this pattern. Vulnerability, honest disclosure of our imperfect humanity, repels some but creates profound intimacy with others. Authenticity is a collection of choices, Brown writes, that we make every day. It's about the choice to show up and be real. Consider practicing micro moments of honesty, small truths that build the courage muscle for larger ones. "I'm feeling overwhelmed right now," instead of "I'm fine." Or try truth journaling, writing without censorship about your actual feelings, desires, and fears. No one needs to see it, but you need to see it. Philosopher Martha Nussbaum suggests that emotions themselves are forms of judgment, information about what truly matters to us. Honesty requires listening to these messengers. When we deny emotions like anger, jealousy, or desire, we lose crucial data about our needs and boundaries. Honesty means including all emotions in self-awareness. Sometimes honesty means admitting, "I don't know." These three words can collapse years of pretense and open space for authentic discovery. What would change if you admitted your uncertainty about career choices, relationship decisions, or spiritual beliefs? What freedom might exist in that honesty? The greatest paradox. Honesty costs everything that was keeping you from everything you truly want. You lose the false to gain the real. Remember that radical honesty isn't cruelty disguised as truth. It's speaking your reality while remaining connected to compassion, for yourself and others. This path requires extraordinary courage. As writer Anais Nin noted, the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. What truth is waiting for expression in your life right now? What small step toward honesty could you take today? Pause and listen to what arises. So yes, radical honesty will cost you everything. Everything that was never really yours to begin with. Everything that was borrowed, inherited, or constructed to please others. And in that apparent loss lies the recovery of your authentic self. The parts you abandoned for approval. The voice you silenced for safety. The desires you denied for acceptance. When we choose honesty, we choose to live from the inside out rather than from the outside in. We stop allowing others' expectations to determine our expression. The journey toward honesty isn't completed in a day. It's a practice of returning again and again to what's true, even when it's uncomfortable. Especially when it's uncomfortable. As we conclude, remember that the most profound freedom comes not from having everything, but from no longer being afraid to lose anything for the sake of truth. The invitation before you is simple but revolutionary. Choose one area where deeper honesty is calling you. Take one small step toward that truth today. Your authentic life is waiting on the other side of that honesty. And while the cost may seem great, what awaits you is beyond price. The experience of being fully, uncompromisingly yourself. The world doesn't need more perfect performances. It needs your truth, your unique voice, your unfiltered presence. And so do you.